Hello, everyone. We've got Doug Heske, the CEO of Newday Investing, along with President Alex Meek, also from Newday Investing. We're talking about how you can start being an impact investor with $5. You don't want to miss this episode. Doug, Alex, welcome to the show.
Devin, thank you very much for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're thrilled to have you, and I appreciate you making the time, both of you. This is an exciting time. You just recently launched. Doug, why don't you just give us a quick overview of how you've made this possible for people to start investing with $5?
Yeah, so thank you. So Alex and I both come from the traditional wealth and asset management side of the business. And one of the things that we both recognized over the last decade is that this younger generation that doesn't necessarily have the same level of financial wherewithal as an affluent person has been disenfranchised from opportunities to invest alongside their values. So we have, for the better part of the last 18 months, been building a platform that addresses that and gives younger people not only the opportunity to invest behind those values, but get educated around those things that they care most about, particularly as it pertains to sustainability.
This is exciting stuff. Tell us a little bit about your unique model, Alex.
Sure. So, we really put the business together with the idea to democratize access to what we call values-based and sustainable investing. And we really set out to do that by bringing institutional grade investment management products through technology and to make that widely available. And so we are really kind of the first of its kind to blend together both being an asset manager and a digital wealth advisor as a solution to really go mass market.
So you're employing technology, one of these robo-advisors, as they're frequently called. That is, I think, fundamentally the key to being able to reduce your operating costs so that you can have a $5 account. Technically, you can have a $50, $100 account, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to manage it so that you can afford to have those accounts. Tell us a little bit about how that technology works to ensure that people get decent investment returns from that.
Sure. So we have enabled the ability to have what we call fractional share ownership. And through our technology, and as you said, we're able to scale into millions of accounts where there are relatively fixed costs on the technology side. So having one large account or a million small accounts, relatively the same for us. And we have created what is called a separately managed account structure. And so traditionally for small investors to come into, large diversified underlying securities, you have to come into a fund or a 40 Act fund, such as a mutual fund or an ETF. And we've enabled through our fractional share ownership and separately managed accounts, each individual investor actually owns a piece of that underlying security, not an interest in that security. And so that's a big differentiator for having actual ownership. It allows you to have proxy voting, advocacy efforts, so very different. We think that we've sort of flipped the model on its head where you can now do that through technology. So moving away from 40 Act funds, the big administrative costs that are associated with that are typically passed on to investors, there's a lot of cost savings.
But Doug, at the same time, people don't use your account to make individual stock purchases with their $20 account. They're not buying and selling tiny fractions that they're directing in individual stocks. Is that correct?
That's correct. They're actually owning institutionally oriented, professionally managed investment portfolios. We do provide, as a part of our education, transparency into the underlying organizations that end up being a part of those portfolios. And that's absolutely critical, especially as it pertains to sustainability, as our user group and clients want to understand those organizations that are advancing the cause of sustainability and how they're doing it relative to their environmental, social, and governance practices.
But each investor does, even with $5, $10, $20, $100, they do get to choose up to 6 different investment themes. So they do have some control over at least the impact that they're seeking to have. Is that right?
That's correct. And over the course of the next couple of years, there will be additional strategies that roll out in addition to the 6 that are a part of the initial offering. So we have several core strategies which represent the lion's share of the assets that a client's portfolio will be invested in. And then a set of thematic strategies that have largely been built around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Things like clean water and gender equity and sustainable cities and ocean wellness.
So, Alex, as people invest, let's say I put $100 in, how would that get allocated?
Sure. So what we do is we have an onboarding process where we understand who you are, your needs, your time to retirement, or for a big liquidity need, such as buying a house or other big asset purchase. And we use algorithms that essentially create, using modern portfolio theory, an asset allocation recommendation. And we essentially have 3 core allocation models, which is conservative, moderate, and aggressive. And that is going to be a blend of not only your values, but a mix of equity to fixed income ratio. And so you will get allocated anywhere from a majority into fixed income if you are conservative portfolio type, all the way to aggressive, where you'd be a majority allocated into equities.
As people invest their money over time and accumulate greater assets, how does the level of service, the offerings, and opportunities change? Doug, you want to handle that?
Yeah, so a core part of our offering is ensuring that our end client is getting the level of satisfaction around advice on both from a customer service standpoint and from an investment management expertise standpoint. We have a facility that's been built into the technology where we have direct communication with those clients, and via that technology mechanism, we can get their questions answered immediately. As somebody's financial wherewithal grows over the years, it is our intention to build more bespoke wealth management services as an adjunct to the direct-to-consumer offering in the Newday platform today.
Excellent. Well, Alex, as you think about your career, you've certainly had a stellar one. What's the most important lesson you've learned?
Oh boy, that's a big one. Big lesson is, I think things can take longer than expected, and to have patience with anything that you do, career-wise, building a business. And you really have to saddle up and be ready for a long journey, whatever it is that you decide to do. And that's one thing that I think has helped us here, is to exercise patience. Technology is never done on time. Construction of the portfolios take longer than expected. So just, word of advice to make sure you gear up for the long haul.
Doug, what about you? What's the most important lesson you've learned?
I think that it's really with reference to getting engaged in the community in which you live and operate in. I can't tell you the number of things that have happened for me personally in my career, because I've gone that extra length of volunteering time with a civic organization or a charitable organization. And it does so much more than just contribute financial resources or expertise back to these organizations. It is an opportunity to create change in the world. And so it is a philosophy that is fundamental to the work that we do here at Newday, that we want all of our employees becoming a part of these communities in which we're operating in, from a financial standpoint and from a volunteerism standpoint.
Alex, you could be doing anything. Super bright, capable, well-educated guy. Why choose to pursue this strategy that's focused on, achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals through investing? I mean, it's off the beaten path.
Sure. I spent most of my childhood growing up in Idaho, and sustainability has always been a big part of my life. And when I sort of, went into Wall Street, I, over my career, have developed a skill set around managing money and research and trading. And I wanted to do something better and combine a skill set with something that could, make the world a better place. And the whole premise of starting this business is to reallocate capital to good corporate actors and create a higher standard. And that's underlyingly fundamental, important thing that needs to happen if we're going to sort of change. And so it's a passion and just as much as anything else.
Doug, what about you? Again, all the opportunities in the world. Why Newday?
Yeah, so we obviously operate in a world today that is filled with a lot of challenges. And when you think about the United Nations SDGs, they identify a lot of those, whether it be hunger issues or poverty issues. And a core part of what we're trying to do, and one of the principal reasons that I got involved, is I believe in education. I believe in educating our younger generation that they can make a difference if they start making smart decisions today towards the improvement of our world and its inhabitants.
Doug, what is your superpower?
What is my superpower? I think my superpower would probably be principally around educating the world. And if we can get in front of this younger generation to really develop what is a big tent view of the world, that the decisions that they make have a far greater impact than just the personal decision that they're making, that there's change that accompanies that. And this is a generation that is feeling a tremendous amount of power right now, as evidenced by the marches that we've seen around the country. And I think as evidence will be in the polls in November, that they are getting out there and interested in making change, in improving the world, in making this world a better place. And so there are a lot of people in this younger generation, K through 12 school kids, college students, that are out there every single day thinking about this as top of their agenda in terms of how do I make my mark on the world, and all looking for better ways to do it as well. So, we have a business platform that's primarily addressing a set of individuals in the United States right now. But the US, in many regards, as it pertains to sustainability, is a laggard, at least as it compares to other European nations and even some Asian nations as well, too. The faster that we get out there and educate people around the power that they have in their own hands to change the world, the better off we're all going to be.
Alex, what's your superpower?
Oh boy. Yeah, I would say optimism. It's sort of an underlying, thing that has really driven my passion for the work that I do. And some could say it's a weakness, but I think it's gotten us much further in business by remaining optimistic, chasing, the big odds against starting a business and getting things off the ground. You have to remain optimistic, and it's what gets me out of bed every morning, for better or worse. So.
I hear that. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Doug, before you go, maybe you could just take a minute and tell people how they can learn more about Newday, set up an account, and perhaps connect with you and Alex.
Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you for that, Devin. So I would ask people to go to the Newday Impact website, found under newdayimpact.com. You can find the Newday application in the iOS store today. And there are lots of additional enhancements that are coming over the course of the next 6 months as well, too.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. We wish you every success in using money to solve the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Devin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Devin.
All righty. Let's do some good.
All right. Take care.